and welcome to another episode of The Mixing Glass. It's me, John, but I am not alone today. I have my co-host with me, Mike. Mike, how are we doing today?
I'm good. Good to see you, John.
Doing great. I listened to country music for the first time in ever today, thanks to you. So thanks for that.
Yep, got you some of that y'alternative, which honestly, yeah, if you are not a fan of Sturgill Simpson, you got to check him out. He has got to be one of the best singer-songwriters of all time. He's incredible.
As a child who was forced to listen to twingy twangy country music as a kid on car rides, this is a journey for me, so we'll give it a take.
Just give it a shot. I don't like honky tonk, but donk donk isn't on there. You don't have to worry about any of that garbage. So
that's not garbage. That is
garbage. What's that guy's name? Every time I'd see him on those shows talking about supporting veterans, I could only just hear that song playing in my head. Slap your grandma, dude. Shut up. Just shut up.
Okay, well, enough of us. That's not why we're here today. We do have an amazing guest on the show by the name of Matt McIntyre. Matt McIntyre is the co-founder and CEO of McKarl's Libations that specialize in mobile craft bartending, consulting, and promotions. With experience in prestigious bars like the Ice Plant, he also holds certifications in Executive Bourbon Steward and educates consumers in mass. As an ambassador for Misguided Spirits, he provides hospitality at various events, tailoring memorable experiences for guests and bartenders alike. Matt's passion for craft cocktails extends to creating unique experiences and sharing knowledge through industry seminars. He believes bartending is about storytelling. We love that. Connection and creating a welcoming atmosphere. Matthew's commitment to quality innovation has established him as a respected figure in the craft bartending industry. Matt, let's get you on the show. How are we doing today?
Hey guys, doing well. Honored to be here. What a great bio.
It's a great bio. It's like you can also check it out on our website because Matt is one of our bards. We bring in industry professionals to Bardtenders who have kind of taken bartending to the next step or have developed side projects and hustles, whether that's music or doing mobile bartending and consulting, putting them all in one place. And Matt has been there since basically the beginning. So it's nice to have him on the show today.
Yeah, happy to be here. Long time waiting. This is definitely a bucket list item for me. It's my first real podcast. It's my first podcast ever, but especially to have to do with the business.
Thanks for letting us pop that cherry.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being gentle about it. I appreciate it.
Well, it's still early. We're only
I know. I'm still testing out the lines of what is appropriate to say on this show. So I don't know you, man. It's nice to meet you, but I'm glad we're starting it off there. That makes me feel a little bit more comfortable.
Well, before we get too far down the rabbit hole, we like to do a little thing called Roll for Initiative. And I know you've got a 20-sided die over there. So if you can give that bad boy a roll and give us a number, we've got an icebreaker for you.
All right, one of you gentlemen can blow on it.
I couldn't tell the blow on the screen or the mic. I didn't know where to blow.
Mike blow
you have to edit that out, please.
No, it's staying. It's gonna be clip.
Lucky 17 on that. Thank you.
Classic Lucky 17. Matt, what is the stupidest way you have ever injured yourself?
I heard the Y peeler explanation happen so many times. Of course that's happened, but was that the stupidest way? I don't think so. Is it good? Does it have to be industry related?
Oh, absolutely not. This is across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, about 10 years old, I was in my neighborhood playing with all my friends, just hanging out. We were all riding our bikes. I ran into someone and then I flipped over my bike. So I had to fix it and the chain was kind of loose. So I had to tighten the chain up. And so I turned the bike upside down. I was going and I was cranking the gears, just letting the chain roll. And I was thinking, all right, that's pretty tight, but let me check it and see. So I had it cranking, and then I went and I grabbed it, and then my finger got stuck between the chain and the actual spikes. And I had to have someone come out and remove it. And I still have an indentation in my fingernail from that this very day, just from grabbing a chain. Yep.
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, it's not a good one.
I mean, it's funny.
Yeah, your hand actually it got stuck, right? And somebody had to come and.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I mean at least 10 minutes, like just there, like breathe through the pain, because it was tight, and it was so tight that like they couldn't just unloosen it. Like they had to take the pegs off, they had to take the back tire off. It was nuts.
Oh man, yeah. I definitely thought that this was going to be you were testing it and like just hand cranking the wheel, and then the wheel came up and like grabbed you in the face. But your story is way worse. So.
Yep. And I'm
Mike,
glad to share that with y'all.
I haven't heard yours. You got a good story?
I got run over and dragged by a 4-wheeler one time.
Oh, that's not a good one.
We had these little 4-wheeler and a little dirt bike. I can't remember like what cc, but like they were kind of for younger kids, so they weren't super fast. But we were racing up our 600-foot driveway, and the bike was quicker, but didn't have a higher top speed. So I got out in front of my brother, and I'm up in front of him. He comes up to the side of me, and he goes to cut in front of me, but he does it too soon, and the back wheel hits my front wheel. Somehow I fly forward, and my right leg gets caught between around the axle of the back wheel. So it's like caught between the fender and the wheel. And I'm just being dragged on this gravel driveway. And my brother just keeps looking back and going, "Oh my God, as he's still driving. Oh my God." Finally, he stops and he's like, "Oh, let me help you." Because he didn't mean to do it. But he pulled, I got up out of it and I looked at him and I just clocked him right in the, dropped his ass. That's the only time I've ever hit my brother like that.
Yeah, as brothers do. That's good.
We didn't do that, but I just dropped his ass, and then I got on the 4-wheeler and I was like, "All right, let's go." Because I was like, "I'm done now. I'm not mad anymore." But hop on it, he started throwing rocks at me, so I drove away. But I was so bloody. So it's kind of his fault, but I should have known better than to race him. So there you go.
Amazing. How old?
Oh gosh, probably like little league age.
Sure. So also 10.
No, well, it was a little bit older than that. Probably like 13 or 14, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Makes sense. That's pretty good.
Yep.
I don't have a great story. We talked about it, I think, in our last episode we did together, Mike, but I definitely tore my hamstring playing kickball. So that's just my most recent injury. I stupidly injured myself. I'm sure there will be more in the future.
You've got to come up with a better story for why you're on that scooter, man. Like, you try and bull riding or something, kickball is just, it's underwhelming.
Every time I tell the story, we'll come up with a new one now.
There you go. Exactly.
Perfect.
The man of mystery there. Amazing. Well, Matt, thank you for sharing. But now we're at the point in the episode where we talk about you, right? It's your turn. This is your show. You're on our episode, and we want to hear a little bit about your origin story. Everybody has a story to tell about how they got into this industry and how they got to where they are today. So, Matt, what was your origin story? How did you get to become a bartender in the industry?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Where does this really start from?
All the way back.
I know. Since from the womb, I've always wanted to be a bartender.
You'd be the first. There's not a lot of those. Usually it's a second career or tired of school. So lifetime desire.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But so I've lived a interesting life, to say the least. I grew up in the foster care system and out of the foster care system. Like I had someone who I call my mother who helped me out and took me out. But for the majority of my life, I've always kind of felt like a misfit and always looking for like my tribe, as John Moore says. We love John Moore. Shout out to him.
Love John Moore. He's been on the show. Yeah. Awesome episode. Check it out. Yeah,
the man can speak. He's very eloquent. You guys should check it out. But anyways, always just trying to figure it out. Never really having the folks that like got me for me. I'm definitely unique. I'm a little bit on the spectrum, a little bipolar, but I own that. I wear it on my sleeve. So I started in the kitchens, and that's where it all began for me, because everyone's accepting in the kitchen. They don't care what you look like. They don't care what you do. They just want you to work.
Yeah, they're just glad you're a warm body that clocks in and shows up every day.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, fry cooks, like they don't care who you are, just fry the food, right? So I started in the kitchen. I started really at Chipotle. I think that really gave me like my bearings and like helped create like a work ethic for me. From there, I worked at Dragonfly, which is a sushi bar. So I went from rolling burritos to rolling sushi. So I'm very good when it comes to rolling in any capacity.
Which Dragonfly? Was it a chain
Gainesville.
or was it the Gainesville Dragonfly?
Yeah, right by the Hippodrome. Yeah.
Really cool spot.
Yeah, shout out to Kristen Amron, aka Frosty. She was the bartender at the time while I was actually a sushi chef. So even before I started bartending, crazy. Good. This goes to show how small and tight knit our community is. After Dragonfly, I left Gainesville and I moved to St. Augustine. I did a little stint at Dairy Queen, which was super fun. And surprisingly enough, I worked at the Milltop after that, and that's what got me into the bar scene. So I was I was in the kitchen at the Milltop, and I was just cooking things up. But when you're in the kitchen at the Milltop, you actually have to serve the food as well. So I was doing a little bit of back and front of house. So I actually got tipped out, which was cool. But I saw the bartenders there, just like everyone loved the bartenders there. They were just they were the big deal. And the Milltop has been forever. They've been around forever in St. Augustine. It's historic. So working there was really eye-opening that bartending is what I wanted to do. I didn't even realize why I wanted to do it. I was just like, this guy is so cool. Shout out JD. I didn't realize that this would become so much more. But after that, I quit the Milltop and I started working at Barley Republic for my first bartending job. And my partner Sarah was working there as a bartender, and it was my first bartending job, and this was before we were even together. So she actually ended up teaching me how to bartend, and I just learned how to bartend at an Irish pub. So, nothing special. We're doing Guinnesses, we're doing car bombs, and then I'm making easy cocktails like lemon drops and green teas, nothing special.
So I want to ask a question here.
Yeah, go ahead.
How did that first conversation go, right? Because your resume just has back of house restaurants on it. How did that interview go? How did you make that move from back of house to front of house? I know a lot of people struggle with that transition. So how did you get your foot in the door, so to speak?
God, I think that's such a great thing to bring up. The only way for me to get this position was for me to be like, I can do this. I don't have any experience, but I promise you I can do it. Like, this is my resume for the back of the house. I can talk to people. Like, you have to take a chance on me. And they did. They had to take a chance on me. And they said, we're taking a chance on you by doing this. I think that everyone should be transparent and say, like, I don't have the skill, but I'm willing to learn. And then you're automatically getting your foot in the door that way. And I didn't bartend immediately because I still had to, prove that I knew what I was doing. Eventually, I did get behind the stick though, and it was cool, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I was kind of like, I'm underwhelmed. But then we had the Woodford Manhattan experience at my Irish pub at the Upstairs. And if y'all aren't familiar, that's the Manhattan experience. It's a huge bartending competition that's nationwide for Woodford Reserve.
Yep, every year, annual competition.
Yeah. It was the first one I saw, and the folks at Woodford really do it right. So I was like in love. I was like, oh, this is what I've been missing out on the whole time. Coming from the back of the house, I was like, oh, they're doing culinary techniques and they're involving it with their actual classic cocktails. I was like, I've never even thought of that. Little did I know, I was like a few feet away from the Ice Plant, which is the best craft bar in North Florida. So after that experience, man, I put my application into the Ice Plant, and I kind of, haven't looked back since. They taught me craft cocktails, and they taught me hospitality, which is what I think is extremely important in what we're doing. It doesn't matter if you make a good drink, but it does matter how you make people feel. And Mike Doyle, shout out Mike Doyle at the Ice Plant, that was the most important thing. He's like, why do you want to work here? And I was like, I want to be the best bartender and serve the best drinks. And he was like, well, our focus is hospitality. So hospitality is your number one focus too. Yeah. And yeah, I took that, and I've rode with that ever since.
I kind of love that too, though. Like the transparency, you talked about it with getting your first job at Barley. And then there's this transparency in that next interview at Ice Plant where they're kind of telling you right from the front. I mean, how many times have you interviewed for a job and they don't tell you what we're about, what you expect, and you don't know, and then you only work there 3 or 4 days and you're like, gonna pass, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I do.
So go ahead, Mike.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say that, the transparency, I just think when you talk to somebody like that, and it's like, I'm willing to do the work and prove myself and learn. I just think it shows the character of the person that they're trying to bring on, to where you're not talking a big game and then falling on your face. What I was going to ask was, because I've had people reach out to us and say, how do I get into bartending? And my answer has always been, pick the place that you would want to work, and then get your foot in the door somewhere, and then be clear about your intentions about what you ultimately want to do. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, really, even on a whole separate note, when I first started bartending, there was like a guy that I thought he was like the mentor for the community. His name was Kelly Fitzsimmons, and he was at Oddbirds. And I would sit at Oddbirds and just listen to this man talk and make cocktails, and was like, wow, I could be doing that someday. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. What's stopping you? Here's a book. Take this book. It was like either The Joy of Mixology or no, it definitely was The Joy of Mixology, as a matter of fact. And that's kind of what started it. So Kelly Fitzsimmons, I mean, you would want, so for me, it's like go to a bar where they're not abrasive, go to a bar where they're all inclusive, go to a bar where they make you feel at place. That's where I think you should go if you're thinking about bartending, and then ask those people those questions.
Cool.
Because absolutely. Yeah.
True. So eventually, you kind of moved away from Ice Plant because you started doing this thing called McKarl's Libations. So how did you go from being, a day-to-day hourly bartender to starting a business, right? Because that's where we are today, and that's, what we want to talk about here on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What'll make you start a business? A pandemic. A pandemic will really make you think and be like, is what I'm doing what I want to do for the rest of my life? So that's definitely what happened to Sarah, my partner, and I. COVID hit. We were out of jobs. We were just sitting on our couch. We were like, what are we going to do? We both really love craft bartending, but we just didn't know what the next step was. Full circle, shout out to our people at Brown Foreman. So they said, hey, if you create an Old Forester or Woodford cocktail or video, we'll pay you $500. So they
great for COVID sitting at home in Florida.
Yeah, it was a lot of tough research too. We had to try all of our drinks and all the different iterations of the drinks. Yeah,
it sounds real hard. Yeah, someone twisted your arm to drink whiskey and make drinks at home.
Yeah, I would even FaceTime people and describe the drink to them, so they know that way. But no, that definitely put a spark under us, and we were like, oh well, we just taught like a little cocktail class, like we should be doing more of this. And then like the Urban Asado, Kelly Fitzsimmons, we did a virtual class, kind of like what we're doing now, but I dropped ingredients to everybody and then I talked them through how to make the cocktails.
Oh, that's pretty neat. So that was like your first big endeavor, and you sent ingredients to everybody and kind of just off to the races.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, people really dig what we're doing. So there's got to be some merit to what we're doing. And there's got to be, there's going to be a following. I know if we keep at this, something will come of it. Mm-hmm. And so we started doing private events because we did live in Florida and the COVID mandates did get lifted relatively quick. So smaller parties were okay. And we would do these small, intimate parties, and we were taking the same craft and expertise from the Ice Plant and bringing it to them. And I mean, just the look on these people's faces and how happy and how kind and how receptive they were. I knew from there that was what I was going to do for the rest of my life, for sure.
I know that. So how do you start making like some of those connections, right? And like, how do you start branching out a business like that? Because, a lot of your clients, you don't know whenever you first start a company. So how do you start to expand that like concept and start to bring in more and more people to, enjoy those drinks and experiences?
Yeah. To expand upon that a little bit. So what we do with our mobile bartending is a little bit more niche. So a lot of our fellow guests that have been on the show are craft bartenders, and that's what we kind of took, was the craft approach, and we're bringing it to the guest home. So as opposed to like folks using like cheaper liquors, cheaper mixers, and underwhelming beverages being displayed for you, we thought if we just went all out, that would be the next level of service that we could give them. Like that would be us giving them the next level of service. And that all of those connections actually come from within the bartending community itself. So I would have folks like Kelly Fitzsimmons, Gray Miller, Sione. They would just be like, hey, I've got these folks who are having an event. I can't bartend for them. You got a license and insured. Can you take care of this? And word of mouth was huge throughout the bartending community. And it's really kind of cool because I can step from the mobile bartending and hop behind any stick and be comfortable, but I don't see that being a thing for many other mobile bartending companies. So I'm really blessed to be able to do both, and having the connection of, I've already done one event, now it's going well. I've got people all around Florida in the bars that are like, hey, we know these folks that are licensed and insured, and we're in year 3 now. So we're just kind of snowballing effect. Now We're just, people know about us.
Awesome.
Yeah. So how does that work, working with your partner, right? Because you mentioned your partner, Sarah. So how do you guys go about navigating working together as a couple inside this business
That's
space?
a good question.
Thanks, Mike. It's like I have a podcast.
Okay, it's gonna be like that, huh? Gonna be like that.
Yeah. He's been waiting for that.
I'm spicy. I'm spicy today. I'm sorry. This is my first cup of coffee.
Yeah, he's over the hangover. We're back into the fire. Let's go. I love it.
Let's go. Saddle up.
Let's go. Yeah, speaking of spicy. So yeah, my partner and I, we're very blessed because we do live together. We work together. Like, I mean, we're breathing each other's air like almost 23 hours a day. But I guess that being said, you really have to enjoy your partner and what you do. And I think Sarah and I have really found our roles so we don't interfere with one another too much. She's more of like on the finances and organizations, operation side. I'm more of like on the networking. I'm doing the Executive Bourbon Steward and the Spirit classes. So we both found our roles now. So now it's very enjoyable because I'm not breathing up her neck. She's not breathing up my neck. And we're actually starting to expand. So now we have other team members that we're in charge of. So it is difficult to work with your partner in any capacity and to also live with them as well. For most folks, I guess that we're just extremely blessed to not get enough of one another. So
that's awesome, man.
We're lucky.
My grandparents were married for over 60 years. My grandma always said, loving each other's the easy part. It's living together that's the hard part. And then adding work on top of that can just it creates a lot of opportunities for miscommunication and, those kind of things. Quick question about that. Because you seem like somebody who's very communicative and straightforward, which I really love that. Whenever you started to find those roles that fit what you guys were good at, have you like had conversations to where it is very clearly defined what is expected of the other person, to where you guys don't even have to talk about it anymore, but your roles are not, you didn't just fall into them, but they are actually defined and laid out very strategically. Sorry, I'm struggling a little bit today. All right, give me a break here.
Don't need to apologize. It's actually funny that you mentioned that because that's like literally what we just figured out this last week, putting into place what our role entitles and what it actually is. Because we didn't know. We were just like, yeah, I'm the CEO, I'm the CFO. What's that mean? I don't know.
Looks good on a business. It looks good on a business card, at least. Yeah,
it looks great on a business card. Yes.
What do those letters mean again? It's the alphabet soup of job titles.
Yeah. But I think in any business, really defining what your role is and putting that on the paper is extremely important. So I think for any business, you have to dig deep and you have to figure that out. And right now, digging deep and figuring that out is allowing us it's opening so many more doors for us. Cool, now we're just like on fire right now. That's
awesome, man. Do you mind if I jump in and ask a different question in a different direction here?
Love it.
I don't want to step on your toes. I'm not sure if okay. So as you were saying, you're kind of doing the higher end, that next level of service. What kind of like venues and customer bases are you finding with that? Because I feel like that could elevate an event to where you don't just have somebody pouring beer and stuff, but you actually have a very curated menu for your event.
Yeah, absolutely. The venues are more likely than not a private residence. It's not being braggadocious, right? It's like the level, this is where we are. So for this luxury of an event, like the homes are usually they're really, really nice. Like, right. They're usually $1 million plus homes. So like the venues can be the house. And if it's another venue, like a wedding venue, we're doing like galas. We just did one in like the Classic Car Museum, the Glass Factory. So like really big venues, not like churches or not like barnyard weddings or anything like that. We do, but that's not our bread and butter. But it is genuinely speaking like corporate America, like dentists, doctors, lawyers that we go into their homes and we provide the service.
That's awesome. So how many NDAs have you signed then?
Yeah, I haven't had to sign any but 2. And that was because one was a recording artist and he was getting ready to sign a record. And the other one was just because, anyways, yeah. So there's 2, right? Yeah, just 2 of those.
What'd you say the recording artist name was?
Yep.
Don't laugh. I was going to see if I could get him. Come on, man.
I'm not going to let you.
Still in effect. So, yeah.
Oh, God damn it. Okay, so eventually it's going to be more than just the 2 of you that's in this business. How did you go about finding employees? How did you go about hiring? How did you go about finding the right people to work with you? for this company, because you can't do every event by yourself. I mean, you can, but you're going to burn yourselves out. So how did that kind of evolve?
Yeah, scaling is hard. It's definitely difficult with what we're doing because it is so niche. The one thing that has been reliant throughout this whole journey is that folks in the service industry just absolutely crush at their job, and they're just amazing. So what our whole model is to pull from the service industry, because they already do sales, and have those people work for us. We've been pulling managers that used to do tastings, like with St. Augustine Distillery. We've got people who've run restaurants, like restaurateurs that have been on board. But it has been difficult because staff retention is so hard. My motto right now is, we're going to fire quickly, but we're going to hire slowly. So finding those good staff, I mean, that's hard, just like anyone nowadays. Like, it's just hard to find good staff. But luckily, the service industry, our opportunities align with their time clock, if you would. So they can come in and they can do a 3-4 hour shift on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and get in and get out. They can do their regular job. If they're trying to, get a college degree, they can go to school during the week, and then they can come with us on the weekend. Indeed has been our biggest friend. But really, I have to just say, finding good work is just extremely difficult. It just is for anyone right now. But the service industry has been the only thing that's been consistently helping us succeed.
Heck yeah. So what's the next?
I think. Oh, I'm sorry.
You got it, Mike.
I was just going to say that's also good. It's also good to, in a way, it speaks to an opportunity as well, because if there are other people out there that are wanting to get into bartending or something, ultimately the most important thing is your work ethic, and how you're going to add and bring value to that operation. So it is kind of, if there is such a shortage, it just means that there's also a lot of opportunity out there.
No, 100%.
Yeah, and also, the service industry folks just know how to present themselves. Like, they're used to talking to guests, like they're not afraid to, and that really just helps. Like, we do a lot of tastings, like retail liquor tastings, and that just helps differentiate us from the other tasting companies. So,
I think a big thing is, and we've talked about this before on the show too, is that you can teach anybody to put liquids in cups. You can teach anybody to read a recipe, but you can't teach people to care. You can't teach people really to work hard. You can't teach people to give a fuck, just one fuck, and like, you can't teach people to be genuinely hospitable, and like, I think that is a big part of what you're trying to do with McKarl's Libations, is find those people that care and have the same passion that you do for creating those experiences for guests all over North Florida. So I think that that's incredible. What's next for you guys? Like, how are you gonna, keep pushing the envelope? Like, what are you looking forward to, here in the future?
Yeah, so the big envelope is us taking a step back and doing more of networking and operation side of things. We've got a lot of great opportunities coming up. That'll be more of us doing like the consulting side of things, the beverage directing and operation side of things, while our team executes what we were doing before, which is to show up and actually bartend, bring in all the items that people need, the ice and everything. We're going to be able to do more of the networking and expand that way. And we're also putting the right people into place to take over the jobs that we were doing prior to that. So we're looking at a bunch of galas. We're looking at a bunch of music festivals. We're looking at a bunch of like shows, like cabaret speakeasy shows. Also, while we're doing our tastings, the retail promotions, the private bartending at the venues, and even we manage an event space in the Browdies and Jolinton Creek, and it's a full bar, and we're technically the beverage directors of that, but we'll be taking a step back, and we'll have someone else in that place too. And that's the only way for us to keep expanding. So we're just looking at the bigger picture now, and maybe going from Florida to nationwide. That's our big next step.
Mm-hmm.
So you only have a couple irons in the fire, huh?
Yeah, just a couple hundred. Yeah, it's a lot, but we're doing it. We're gonna execute. We're just gonna keep executing. Yep.
Oh, that's incredible. That's so exciting. So not only do you run a successful mobile bartending company, you also work for a brand called Misguided Spirits as their brand ambassador. So tell us a little bit about Misguided Spirits, who they are, what they are. Give us like the little tech sheet rundown of Misguided Spirits.
if you're in the service industry, you're a misguided spirit, because that is what we are. We're a bunch of bartenders. The company got started out of Brooklyn. It was James Zinkland. He's actually from Sarasota, Florida, went to New York, started the company. So it's a bartenders collective that has come to start making like what we would call premium wells. We just didn't want people making cocktails with these like really bad, let's just say, like, we won't name names, with plastic bottle, just wells that feeling hangover, you don't want more than one cocktail. We thought, how can we fix that? And so what we did, Misguided Spirits, is they created spirits that were made extremely well, but very affordably. I like to think of us as like the MGP for bartenders. Like, we're sourcing, we're blending, we're filtering to give you guys really good quality product, but we're doing it in a way where you guys aren't being charged an arm and a leg. So yeah, Misguided Spirits, hospitality forward. We're for the bartender. We're here to throw events for you guys. Once we start doing activations and accounts, we're always there to actually be there and do like cocktail competitions, spirit trainings. I just went to Tallahassee and we did a tiki festival. So they're really for the community. And since like that's my whole mantra in my company, it was a no-brainer. It definitely doesn't hurt that they flew me out to Kentucky for a week for Camp Rudamuck.
Sounds terrible. Sounds like a terrible time.
Yeah. I didn't know that I was working for them as soon as I landed in Kentucky, but as soon as I got in my cabin, I was like, oh yeah, I can work for these folks. And then 2 years later, when they got to Florida, I got the call.
Well,
so how many markets is Misguided Spirits in now? Are they nationwide yet, or still working on expanding?
Yeah, so I think I could say safely we're in at least 15 markets right now. I know we're not in the Carolinas, but I know we're in Florida, Georgia. I know we're in New Jersey, Boston, Oklahoma, California, New York, of course. And we are rapidly Nashville. We are expanding right now. We're going to be doing activations all over the U.S. the rest of the year.
Do you have a favorite product from the line? Give us a little sneak peek into that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole lineup is very easy, and that's why I like it. So it's like spackle. You can stick us wherever, and we can fit somewhere in your program because all of the juice is good. If I was to say my favorite, I mean, I just did this tiki festival. One of our managing partners, Chad, created this rum, the aged rum, and he's really fond of it. He uses like a little bit of salt in the recipe and ages it for a year in the ex-bourbon cask, and it is just delectable. It's my favorite thing, and it's usually everyone's favorite spirit, but if it wasn't that one, the gin, I think, is a very close second. It's like a New World meets London dry style. It's like a chamomile, lavender, and citrus. It's just so delicious.
I like that. Super bright.
But everything's good. Yeah, it's bright. Yeah.
Heck yeah. So you talked about doing, like some cocktail competitions and some like activations with the brands. What are some of your favorite things to do in like that realm with Misguided?
Yeah, I love cocktail competitions. Like, that's my jam. I like to host them. I like to set them up. I like to get everybody involved. It's like when you take a cocktail competition to the masses, to like the public, they're like, what is going on? I don't know, but I like it. And to be able to take our side of things and bring it to the public side of things, like, that's just special to me. And everyone's always having a good time. If it's run correctly, there's no stress. If it's not run correctly, drink a little bit. Like, I just love the cocktail competition side of things, especially like at the end when you get your winner and everyone comes together, even if you did win, the camaraderie, like, it's just a great time. Those are always my favorites.
Yeah. It's about the experience and it's about networking for sure. But one of the other big things we like to talk about too on the show is not just the bartending side of the industry. It's talking a little bit about, mental health, physical health, and how everybody struggles with something, even if they don't show it outwardly. And I know, Matt, you were pretty open with us before the show to talk about this with your own, basically challenges that you've had in the industry. So share with us a little bit about how, you've gone through that and your experiences with working in the hospitality side.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to the podcast that you guys did with Jacob, and man, that like really opened my mind, because I'm like, I'm going through everything that he's going through, and for him to be so open was just like really a beautiful thing to me.
Yeah, we had Jacob Mentel on the podcast. He's cocktail retriever out on the West Coast, but he was very open about sharing his experience with being, AUDHD and basically working with autism in the industry, and it was absolutely incredible and inspiring to hear his side too, for sure.
Yeah, and I'll attest to that, because I have a lot of the same things that he has going on, and like I really like even talked to my partner. I was like, today's going to be a good day, because I just listened to this man speak, and I just feel so much better about myself.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it was powerful, riveting for sure. So a little story of my own then. I actually live with an autoimmune disease. It's called ankylosing spondylitis. Essentially, I get extremely inflamed when I don't eat the right things, or maybe when I consume alcohol, as a matter of fact. It's kind of crazy. But even though I do live with an autoimmune disease, and they would say like, alcohol is poison, like shout out to Shannon, shout out to Cody, like you don't have to drink booze all the time. Like you can bartend and you can be a non-alcoholic, you can enjoy a non-alcoholic beverage. You don't have to always drink to be successful in this business. And I think we're turning to a place now where people can see that. Like, what is it, like 10 to like 12% of your cocktail menu sales are going to be from NAs now, or something to that extent. So you don't have to drink to be doing what we're doing. And Jacob touched a lot on the mental side of things, but I think it's important to touch on the physical side of things. Living with this disease, our bar food isn't always the best for us, but it's always available. It's always glutinous. It's always fried something, fried this, maybe some red meat. And, it's all delicious. And I love all of that. But changing my diet up and, less gluten, eating chicken and veggies and just eating a lot cleaner. I mean, it has changed my life completely. And I think whether you have an autoimmune disease or not, it's super important that what you put in your body is, you're looking at what you're putting into your body, because you are what you eat. So if we're eating a bunch of processed foods or a bunch of foods with chemicals in it, like you're slowly just tearing your body apart. So I think it's important for all of us to, take a second, breathe, maybe look at what meal prepping could look like for us. You don't have to take that shot at the end of the shift every time. I just think it's important to listen to your body, and living with an autoimmune disease, well, it'll get you listening really quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't listen to your body, it's going to make you listen, is what I found over the years, for sure.
It's almost a silver lining, because that autoimmune. I have psoriasis, and it's
okay.
It's, a hereditary thing, but it's also autoimmune. But over these like last couple of years, not too much has changed. I'm getting older, but like it's gotten much worse, and it's been a lot more difficult to deal with. And I'm looking now at changing my diet drastically. So, but the point is that it's like a sign to where. Otherwise, if you don't have that extra message from your body, sometimes, it's easier to go and keep doing the things that still are bad for you, to where I'm trying to look at my stuff as something, as a message to be like, all right, dude, your body's telling you something, and good, go do something, about it. So I'm actually looking at trying the carnivore diet. So I don't know if we'll see if that works or not, but I've heard some success with that. Consult a medical professional before you do any of that stuff. I'm not recommending it for anybody, of course, but I like that. I like that.
So you mentioned meal prepping as like a way to kind of like shift, your focus towards eating healthier, being healthier. What are some other, things that have worked for you that have allowed you to, change your diet, change your lifestyle, because everybody has different time commitments and things like that. So what worked for you?
Yeah, time commitments. What my biggest issue was, like, I just wouldn't eat. I would go through a whole shift on shots, man. I remember that being a thing, and no wonder I would feel horrible after some shifts. But I think it's just like important, even at Camp Random, like they said, you see food, you eat food. And not everyone has time to meal prep, but like I guarantee you, you're gonna feel better if you eat something than if you don't eat something during the day. And in our lifestyle, go. It's easy to not eat anything, but as soon as you eat something, you're like, why do I feel better? Other than that, I will say also, like, I just did an ice bath and a sauna plunge, and I know it's such a mental thing to do the ice bath, but everyone feels better after they do it. I really encourage everyone to hit the ice bath.
Yeah,
Is
a
that
little
something
shock
that
to
you
your-
do? Sorry, go on. See, I'm
No.
stepping on you.
No, I just wanted to say it's a shock to your system. Like, truly.
Yeah.
Is that something that
Yeah.
you do regularly still?
Yeah, so I just hit 3 minutes for the first time today because even though it is a mental thing, it is difficult. And especially with my body being really inflamed, I have to go a little bit lighter than most folks. But I just hit a 3 minute cycle and it was my longest one yet. And today I feel fresh. I mean, do I seem crisp for you guys?
You seem
so
so fresh. You seem fresher than Mike.
So fresh and so clean.
yeah,
You are
Yeah.
fresher than me. I'll tell you that much.
yeah, you will. And I promise you, when those ice baths, you just get this like really nice head high. That's just like, the fog, take the fog away.
Hmm.
No, I'm with
Well-
you. I take cold showers in the morning now too to like focus because I wake up at 3:30, 4 in the morning with a kid. They've probably heard him in the background a little bit during the episode.
First appearance
But-
on the podcast, right?
yeah, here we
Yeah.
are.
Perfect.
So I hope you enjoy the trauma. We can bond together over it when you hear it. But no, truly like shocking your system with, like an ice cold shower, an ice cold bath, like goes a long way towards bringing your focus early in the day.
Yeah, and if that's the way you start your day out, it's hard for little things to bug you after that. Because if you got
So
through
true.
sitting in a thing of ice for 3 minutes, then those little things they just don't seem so important after that.
It's true.
I agree. Yep.
So Matt, one of our favorite things to, ask people when they come on the show is, what is your favorite shift? You mentioned our friend, John Moore, who brought this question to us. What's your favorite shift? Your interpretation of that.
Yeah, listening to everyone's favorite shifts, I'm like, oh, that's my favorite shift. Oh, no, that's my favorite shift. Oh, that one. No, that one's my favorite shift. No, but I wanted to go a little bit different. So, we're in the hospitality industry, but what we do, especially with what I'm doing, doesn't have to be just behind the bar. So, like, my favorite shift is like when we're just rocking, like having a good shift, everything's going right, but I've met some folks, and these folks and I seem to be connecting on a level that's like deeper than just me being there in the moment behind the bar. And they're like, hey, when you clock out, like, let's go hang out. And you're like, yeah, sure. But like, you don't normally do that because you're like, I don't know, like, I'm just playing the game. I'm just putting the face on. But when you can actually have like a group of people that you're like, I'm about to clock out and hang out with these people until probably my shift tomorrow. So guys, if I'm a little late tomorrow, it's because I'm hanging out with these folks. That's probably my favorite shift because I've met a lot of really cool people that way, and also like that level of interaction. It's just so much more intimate. And it's just so much more real. It just validates what we do behind the bar, that it's not just a show or a facade, that there are good people out there and that we do get to connect with them. So that's my favorite shift, is starting the shift behind the bar and ending the shift in front of the bar with some new friends.
Yeah, we asked the question because we talk about like adversity that we face in the industry and the people we do it with, and it's finding our people, finding our tribe, the people that align with what we do, and being able to genuinely connect with a guest is something that I don't think happens often enough in this industry. We try to create experiences and we try to create genuine hospitality, but like having a shift where you actually get to be yourself with a guest is so satisfying. So I love to hear that you've had that experience and like have gotten to go out with these people. That's pretty neat. I'm sure you've never gotten in trouble with people that you've met in St. Augustine Beach Town on vacation.
I've never got in trouble ever, and if I did, no one's heard about it. So perfect.
They still won't. Amazing.
It's true.
Well, we like to wrap up the show by doing some shout outs. And I know that you probably have some deep shout outs today because you've mentioned so many throughout the show with our North Florida hospitality community. So I'm going to let you go first, Matt. Start showing some love. Put some gas in the tank for your homies.
Yeah, I mean, I would shout out everyone if I had the ability to.
You do right now.
This is it, guys. So I've already hit a couple of names. Kelly Fitzsimmons, you the man. We love you. I didn't get to touch on Gray Miller, though. I just want to say shout out Gray Miller. You have helped Sarah and I grow so much. You gave us our biggest referral as a company, and you were also allowed us to bartend at your wedding. Shout out to Connor. He's out in New York, Poughkeepsie right now. But Connor Bernard Mercado, he is the one who helped McKarl's. He was our #1 craft bartender for like the first 2 years we were in operations. couldn't have done it without him. The Grassers, they've kind of taken Connor's place. Lindsay's more on the catering side and setting events up. Ryan's our craft bartend and bourbon extraordinaire. Shout out to Barry Browdy, my guy from Browdy's Liquors. He's a mentor to us and has really told us that we could do it. And now that we know that we're doing it, just want to say thank you for believing in us, Barry. Shout out the Ice Plant. If we didn't work at the Ice Plant, we wouldn't be where we are today. That is the #1 craft cocktail bar in North Florida. And everyone who's worked there has really gone on to do bigger and better things. Shout out John Mateer. John Mateer, world-class finalist. That's very impressive, brother. Just having you support everyone in the North Florida area. I just want to say thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a mentor. And thank you for pushing the envelope for all of us.
Big love. I'm bad at accepting compliments, so thank you.
I know. That's why I have to keep constantly telling you.
Really bad
shout out. Yeah, shout out Misguided Spirits. You already know. James Inkland, thanks for bringing me on board. And then shout out McKarl's Libations. That's me. That's my company with my partner, Sarah.
Heck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were going to miss shouting out yourself. I was like, okay, let's flip the script back at you. If people want to reach out to you and book you guys for events, I have the website up on the screen. But you can check them out at www.mckarlslibations.com. Matt, where can I find you on Instagram?
Yeah, so my personal handle is at Whiskey and Wags, whiskey with an H for all my whiskey folks out there. Wags also with a W if you guys are. Oh, we can't edit that out. Damn. All right, and then McKarl's _. So McKarls _
What's the inspiration behind Whiskey and Wags? Everyone has a good story.
I wanted
with
to
their Instagram name.
There's only a few. There's like a few things. So I made my Instagram handle before I met my partner, and before I met my partner, there's only really 2 things that I loved, and it was whiskey and it was animals. I have 7 animals. I have 7 animals with tails. So Whiskey and Wags just made sense.
Nice.
I love my fur babies. I love them more than anything.
I love that. And what about like where they can reach you directly? You got a preferred contact?
Yeah, you can look on our website and get my cell phone number. I won't put that on the podcast, but if you want to email us, that's at mckarlslibations@gmail.com. That's the main email, so it'll go to Sarah or myself.
Amazing. Thanks, Matt. That's fantastic. I hope we get you guys some awesome events and can't wait to see what you guys do in the future. Mike, you got some shout outs for us today?
Yeah, I do. I really loved the story that you told about listening to the other gentleman and him being vulnerable just had such an impact on you. I think that is so cool. I want to shout out Chow, which is a resource for hospitality service industry workers for mental health outreach. And if anybody is struggling with that and they are looking for someone to help, reach out to Chow. They do meetings and everything, to where you can clock in, you can be anonymous, but they've got a lot of really cool resources, not just for people with mental health, but actually trying to facilitate a better work environment by providing more tools and resources to management. And definitely go check them out. They are doing some really cool stuff.
We have links for them on our website, so you can find them there too. And every Wednesday, Bardtenders does a little mental health shout out, and we feature Chow every once in a while. So just check out for those posts. Even if Chow's not the organization for you, I promise you, one of the organizations we post will be able to answer your questions. So love being able to provide those resources. So good shout out, Mike. That was dope.
Thanks.
Love a good mental physical health help.
Oh yeah, man.
Shout outs for me today. I have a shout out for our favorite podcast. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's called Bardtenders. You're probably listening to it. You're probably watching it right now. You can check out our website at www.bardtender.com, where I mentioned you can check those mental health resources like Chow. You can check out our social media at Bardtenders, or you can shoot us an email at contact@bardtender.com. Mike, you look like you want to say something.
No, I love the name so much, but every time I tell people about the show, I have to say it that way. So it's Bardtenders, and it just can't roll off the tongue when I'm explaining to somebody new. You know what I mean?
It's so true.
Yeah. You're saying it like that, and it's great. People listen to the show, and you're like, Bardtenders with a D in there. That's great.
Yeah, we put emphasis on syllables here. It's one of our thanks. Amazing. Well, with that being said, I think it's time to clock out. What do we think?
Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you, and good luck with everything that you guys are doing.
You as well, Mike. I'm sure we'll do something again soon.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. Let's clock out.
Bye, guys.
See ya.